So if a man is in a position where he typically focuses on his mother's needs and does what he can to be there for her, and he neglects most of his own needs and his own life is heavily neglected, this can just be what is normal. And so this will mean that he will act as though he is simply an extension of his mother, and as though his sole purpose for existing is to be there for her, but this won't stand out. And he can do what he can, both consciously and unconsciously, to push down the feedback that would shed light on the fact that he is living in the wrong way. So his negative feelings and thoughts can end up being pushed down. And this will show how strong his need is to be there for his mother. And if he was able to wake up and to realize that he is living in the wrong way, he could end up feeling powerless and totally helpless. So he will then be living in a way that is not fulfilling, and he will be abandoning himself, but he won't feel or believe that he can do anything about it. And if he was to speak to someone on the outside, someone who is supportive and mentally balanced, they could tell him that he is not powerless or helpless and that he can change his life. And that as he is now an adult and not a boy, he can do something. And if this was to take place, he could end up feeling hopeful. And then before long, he could end up sinking down again and just believing that there's nothing that he can do. And at this point, he may even believe that although before he suffered as he was oblivious to what was going on, it was better. Because then he could just be comfortably numb about what was going on. So now that he is aware of what is going on, and he will naturally want to change his life, but he won't believe that he can do anything about it. So is there not going to be a surprise that if he was to believe that it was better when he was unaware of what was going on? And at this point, it could be said that how he feels doesn't reflect reality, and he does have the ability to change his life. But all the time that he feels this way and believes that he has no control, then it is unlikely that his life will change, because this will just be how his life is, and he will have to tolerate what is going on. And when it comes down to why he is this way, it will most likely be due to what took place during his early years and the impact that this had on him. And so at this stage of his life, his mother probably used him to meet some of her adult and unmet childhood needs. And so his needs would have largely been overlooked, and he had to be there for his mother. And this would have meant that he suffered immensely during this time of his life, and he was totally powerless and helpless. He couldn't do anything about what was going on. He could only put up with it and do his best to be there for his mother, because if he wasn't there for his mother, he probably would have been punished, disapproved of, and or abandoned, and this probably would have taken place anyway, even though he did his best to tune into her needs and to be there for her. And so the only thing he could do to handle the pain he was in was to disconnect from his own feelings. And so at this stage of his life, he didn't just feel powerless and helpless, he was powerless and helpless. So as an adult, these feelings can be seen as irrational and as being negative, but ultimately they reflect a period of his life when he was helpless. And so many, many years will have passed since the stage of his life when he was helpless, and now he will have the ability to change his life, he will have control, but he will still be stuck at the stage of his life when he had no control. So in a way, it will be as though he was in a prison, and now he is free to leave the prison. But because of the state that he is in, he won't realise that he is free, let alone see the door to walk out of the prison. And because of this, he is not going to be able to change his life, because he will have been trained for year after year after year to be helpless. And this is often called learned helplessness. And so in order for him to realise that he does have power, he does have control, when he was younger he didn't, but now he does, he will most likely need to reach out for external support so that he can start to question what he believes and to work through his emotional wounds and trauma so that he can gradually embrace his inherent power, because now that he's an adult, he does have power, he does have control, but in order for him to realise this, he will most likely have a lot of work to do on himself. So if you can relate to this, please don't suffer in silence, because now you do have control over your life. You have a choice. You have many choices. So please reach out for the assistance that you need to gradually change your life. To find out more about the services that I offer and how I can assist you on your journey, go to www.oliverjrcooper.co.uk or email me at info@oliverjrcooper.co.uk. I'm looking forward to assisting you on your journey.